Yes!
And what's this, Counsel? Yet another print. Yes, Your Excellency. I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at a scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore. Don't hear our rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further really would be quite inexcusable. Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have that unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason it was recorded here forevermore. What? How?
Objection!
You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy! And if that's your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean.
Yes!
The beefsteak? Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on. The plate. Ah. The judge sees it. As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. Now I would guess it's some sort of trademark of Carnival. Ah! This emblem on the plate. And the victim's burn are exactly the same shape. Oh yeah. Ryunosuke, you genius. You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurant.
Objection!
But even if that is the case, we can't know if it happened on the day in question or not. It could have been the day before, the day before that. It most likely happened at some other unrelated time. Well,
Objection!
Sadly, Prosecutor Ouchie, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks. Why? The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly. But... I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago. And although it's not a particularly large burn, it is extremely well defined, as the defense just pointed out. This was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, I'm going to have to look up what that is, a burn like that would have taken around 3 seconds. Is it conceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then? I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter of Le Carnival, I can testify to that without hesitation. But you're a detective, not a waiter! So what does this mean?
Yes!
There you have it. Something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burnt themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet, Inspector Hosonaga never heard the professor scream. Not on that day or any before it. That's right. And the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry at it either. What are you suggesting? Well, the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day. That would be beyond careless, I think, Counsel. Then the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeant, and the old antiques dealer, all of us would, without any question, have heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Ouchie? Well, yes, I suppose. So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? I almost don't believe it. Ryunosuke, do you think? Let's get a little crazy here. Can it really be true? I never dreamt we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but I'm starting to think that maybe we've been led into a terrible trap. There's only one explanation I can think of to make sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson, he was already dead. No man could remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible. Apart from in one particular situation. Counsel, are you suggesting? Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead. Already dead? Ho 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 ho! She doesn't like that we pointed that out. We're getting just a little closer to the truth. Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead. And that's madness! I'm not doing the obvious joke. You've already done it anyway. The victim was killed by a gunshot. That's right. That's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student, but clearly he has no grasp of the facts. No, Prosecutor Ouchie, it's you who has no grasp of the facts. I beg your pardon? And as soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered that burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Yeah, we need to hear from Jezaille Brett again. If it's true, as we now believe that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, it's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it. Incredible. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon engagement. What you gotta say now? The justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I am prepared to pass judgment. Thank you, Your Excellency. Giving me a look, huh? What was that smile? Yes, of course. I mean, I'd be delighted to help. Oh, so she does speak Japanese. And guess what? I also can't do a British accent. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. I'm not... Don't expect me to do... As I've said before, don't expect... I probably said this already. But don't expect me to do many British accents at all. I will do it... I'll do it sparingly. But I'll do it a little bit in this case, but I'm not going to do it for that long. Miss Brett, you speak Japanese? Well, of course I do. I am studying in your country after all. But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now? My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking your vulgar tones as much as possible. Maybe I should give her a more snooty voice, but that would be even more annoying. For you and me. But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen. So I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you all on your own level. Oh, well, you are the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. We are truly honored by this lavish consideration you so graciously afford us. Alright, let's hear it. So we're finally going to hear her own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting, Ryunosuke. So now she finally speaks. Why is he still up here? We don't need an interpreter anymore. The victim's death. Okay, I'm gonna stop with the British accents. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man broke his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please, do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably won't pick up on it anyway. That most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in the Supreme Court's history. Thank you. Easy does it. I hope that is the last time I'll have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone. Don't worry. Just every Japanese person. Not at all, not at all. It is a delight merely to hear you speak, dear lady. And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant. I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today. The Minister of Justice? May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen. Huh? Thanks? Was that a prayer, then? Well, you'll have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with a cross-examination now. I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. Indeed. My formal cross-examination, I'm not so sure about that. Why would... that seems like it would hurt. But Ryunosuke is standing tall and proud. Let's take her down.
Yes!
As he testified before, you were drinking carbonated water, is that right? Dr. Wilson was only permitted to drink water at that time, if you remember. Which explains why he ordered that drink. Correct, Raider? Exactly as you say, sir. I'm gonna stop doing the voice I have for Ouchie, because it's getting I'm getting annoyed by myself for doing that voice. I'm sure you guys are too. Although whether or not the professor actually drank any of the water when I delivered the stick to the table. I'm afraid I don't remember that. Damn you. I have enough English to understand that, at least. For the benefit of the others in the court, it means, bless you. I think it means the exact opposite. Anyway.
Yes!
Yes, it's written here in the paperwork. Fatal hemorrhage from ballistic trauma. Yes. Luckily for all of us, a little burn on the wrist isn't going to kill us. And there were no other signs of trauma on the victim's body to indicate some other cause of death. It can only have been the bullet from your gun that put an end to this innocent man's life. But it doesn't make sense. The burn must have happened straight away, when the plate was first brought to the table by the waiter. Yes, that's true. If it had cooled even slightly, it wouldn't have been able to make a burn like that. And the victim burnt his wrist on the hot plate as soon as it was brought out from the kitchen. Then he must have already been dead at that point. And yet, the fact is the victim was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Until you're able to show the court evidence to disprove that, this is a complete waste of time.
Yes!
Very pressing on this. Inferior? What do you mean by that? In the lands of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found at the crime scene for later examination. But in this country, you investigate once, and that's the end of it. And isn't that so? Quite right. Le Carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident. Exactly, which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost. Inspector? You have something to, you look like you want something to say. You have something to say. It doesn't even occur to your naive detectives to try to preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can, you understand. A killer blow. The lady's as formidable as she is beautiful. Amazing. He's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps the prosecutor actually finally starting to see sense. I very much doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Brett just said. There was a moment before when something didn't seem quite right. What do you think, Ryunosuke? I think it's going terribly. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected, she's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony, or the cross-examination will be over. But that would mean I have to find a way. There must be some clue somewhere to help us find a chink in her armor. Kazuma... What, Ryunosuke? There is one thing I noticed. Something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Actually, no. About the person saying next to her, Inspector Hosonaga. The detective? Yes, he seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant. If it might present an opening, maybe. Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing on that last statement one more time. And if you think so, but this time, instead of targeting the woman herself, let's see what we can get out of the detective. Alright then. I wonder what Cosmo's thinking. I'll find out soon enough, I suppose. Let's do it.
Yes!
Let's skip ahead to that point.
Wait.
There it is. The detective's reaction is just the same as before. Why? Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Miss Brett as her interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the Englishwoman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down. You're right. Look at him. He's lost in his own thoughts. It's time to pursue the man in his train of thought. Sorry, pursue? Time to do tutorial. So blah 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 blah. I can look at other witnesses while they're on the stand, even when they're not the ones testifying. Blah blah blah. I mentioned in the last part that I had to do part of that, the first part of the trial again, because my microphone stopped being picked up by Audacity. If you've noticed the cuts during this session, it's because I keep checking to see if my Audacity's been picking up my microphone. In fact, yes, it is. Audacity's still picking up my microphone right now. So, yeah, and I'm having to do the same for the second part of this trial as well.
Wait.
Well, in any case,
Excuse me.
Detective, what do you have to say about this? What's the meaning of this? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to shock you. He really was lost in his thoughts. Deeply. It looked like you were thinking about something just now, Inspector. Perhaps having heard what the lady next to you had to say? If there's something you'd like to say, please, share it with the court.
Objection!
What is the meaning of this? It's the delightful Englishwoman who's testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault with their testimony, then a cross-examination should be over immediately. Oh, is that how it works? Absolutely not. The detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Yes, not to mention the fact that he's intimately involved with the case. Inspector Hosonaga? Yes? Do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Miss Brett? Well, yes. If you don't mind, I would like to speak. The lady is right. Our country's police practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain. Which is why I, Satoru Hosonaga, always strive to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you really mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. I won't have evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. That's preserving evidence, you see. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. A crime scene thief? Well, it looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this, for example. Ho 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 ho! A reaction from her. Is that? This is the bottle of carbonated water that I took to the victim's table on the day in question. And yes, it's also all of its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago now. But it was carbonated water. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, there's some left in the bottle. I can see it. One day, our police force will be among the best in the world. The time is coming. I guarantee it. I can't say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. The court will accept the glass bottle of water as evidence. Can you confirm this is indeed the bottle from which you drank on the day of the victim's death? Yes, it was that bottle. What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question. I don't want to have a look at the bottle itself. Now that it's been entered into our evidence. The label is written in a foreign language that I don't recognize. Do you know what it says, Cosmo? I think it's French. This must be a very expensive water. Yes, but what does it say? That's what I was asking. Then go to France and ask. You could just say that you don't know. So this carbonated water is the last drink Dr. Wilson ever had. It looks like there's a little left in the bottle. Although it's just plain water now. You know, I've been sweating so much, I'm absolutely parched. Well, let's have a sip of this to keep me going. Now, Ryunosuke, you can't do that. For one thing, that's evidence. You can't go drinking evidence. Oh no, you're right. We don't know what might be inside, do we? You never cease to amaze me, Ryunosuke. In more ways than one. I wonder... could there be anything in this water? What's the matter? You've gone quiet all of a sudden. I think I might have just worked something out. An interesting possibility. Well, I'd say we have some evidence. Nope.
Yes!
What is this? The bottle of water? Actually, there is one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Obviously, I'm referring to poison. Poison? On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was poison inside? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip of his glass? And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink? There's only one person who could have possibly done it. Jezaille Brett, It was you.
Objection!
This is outrageous to suggest such a thing without a scrap of evidence. You little rookie imbecile. Have you even considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in now? Have you forgotten that we've only just signed an accord of friendship with the British Empire? Have you even the vaguest inkling that your rash accusations could jeopardize the entire treaty?
Objection!
Oh, shut up, dude. I said I wasn't going to do the voice anymore, but I will still occasionally do it. This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one individual's guilt with respect to one crime. The fact that this woman is British makes no difference. We are here to determine the truth. Ahem, if I may. I will silence you forever for this disgraceful... Yeah, shut up, dude. It is you who should be silent. Alright, what you gotta say now? I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my most humble apologies. I'm sorry, my lady, to what are you referring? I described your police force as inferior, but no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigated this particular point thoroughly, I believe. The bottle, I mean, Inspector. And whether it contained poison or not. Of course. You did? Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? I strive for a flawless investigation every time. I don't believe it. Naturally, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents. And what did you find, Inspector? I ordered tests for every toxin that's available in this country at the present time. You could find no trace of poison of any description in the bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency. What? Are you sure? The tests were meticulously carried out by the chief coroner himself. Oh, that's not good. I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You successfully established my complete innocence in this horrid affair. Thank you. Well, this is a bad situation to find ourselves in. I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if he was poisoned. Thank you, counsel. I think that cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecution have asserted, a shot to the chest from this gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who by his own admission was holding this weapon, is the only possible culprit. I'm done for. We need a Deus Ex Machina right about now. The court wishes to apologize for the great inconveniences it has caused you, Miss Brett. Oh no, I'm just glad the matter is resolved. Before proceeding, I must ask the counsel for the defense. Do you have any further new evidence to present to the court at this point? Do we? Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. I have nothing more. Well, if you'll excuse me now, I really must be leaving. Oh? Hold on now. Hi there. Please, wait. Isn't that... What is the meaning of this? Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikotoba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense. Mikotoba? I was the professor's daughter. In my darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning. And in her hand, she carried a small package, wrapped in a furoshiki cloth. Deus Ex Machina. Then again, these games always have that. Thank you for coming to our rescue. But we'll have to see what that's all about. And the next part of the Great Ace Attorney. Alright, I will see you guys in the next part. Take care, everybody.